See, I don't do any social media, so that's why I'm lost as a goose. I don't know.
I don't. I get. I mean, at first I was nervous about doing it.
Yeah.
But then I got where I like the camera's not there, and we're just two guys sitting there having a conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I told you I feel like God was calling me to do this, and I sat down and I thought about people. You were on the top of the list because I heard your testimony. I was like, that's what,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I guess if you're ready, we'll get started.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm like you. I've been nervous wreck all morning long. And then I'll just calm down. I'll be like, look, all I'm doing is talking about God. Yeah. So it's like, no, it's okay.
I was like,
but then I get nervous, but then I'm okay. I mean, it's just such an up and down, back and forth on the.
I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, it's like I got 4 guys that I will send a text out and say, hey, I'm doing this interview. Pray for me.
Yeah.
Tim's one of them. And he sent back today. He's like, he's praying that God's, word to go out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of calms you down when you know that you have other guys out there praying for you.
Yeah.
So we'll get started. I'll introduce.
I want to buy that good life you've been selling. I want to take that free ride up to heaven. I want to have a good time down here while I'm living. So when it comes my time to die, Lord, I'll go with it. Lord, I'll go home.
Welcome to the Jesus Stand. My guest today is Don Berger. Don, appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
But before we get started, I'll give you a little introduction. You were a swimmer for the UA Alabama, and you were All-American.
Yes, sir.
Did you make it to the Olympics?
No, sir.
But the main reason you're here is your testimony. That's what's got you in this chair.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll get to that, and and we'll get to the swimming.
Yeah.
But first, I want to know who Don was. Where were you? Where were you born?
Yeah.
How many were you brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Did you have a good home life?
Yeah.
So
I've been blessed from the get-go. Was born up in York, Pennsylvania. Mom and dad couldn't ask for better parents. Older brother and sister, just awesome. And just had a great life. Started out little. My dad was a high school teacher. He taught college at night. Summers, he'd build houses. He worked. But solid man. Everybody thought the world of him. And my mom was the Christian rock of our family. She was taught the youth fellowship for 50 years, I believe. She started when she was about 16. And, so all through my life, God was there, went to church, was raised right, was raised to do right. When I was little, I don't really remember a lot of it, but my dad over the summers, we went to New Hampshire where he could get his master's degree. And that's kind of where the swimming started, apparently. Again, I really don't remember a whole lot of it, but I was about 3, and every time they'd turn their head, I'd be running, jumping off the diving board because I thought it was cool, apparently. And the lifeguards got tired of having to go in and save me. So they finally convinced them to teach me how to swim. So that's kind of where the swimming started. And then over the summers, or the school year, we'd come back home and we joined the YMCA where they had a swim team. And, that's what we did.
Now, was there a time in your swimming that you knew, hey, I'm pretty good at this?
It always came easy. it, I know I was 5 years old when on January 1st at the YMCA, they'd swim the 1650, which is just under a mile. That was a big deal for swimming, you know. And at 5 years old, my brother and sister were going, so I was going. So I swam my first mile competitively at 5 years old and continued swimming. I loved it. Didn't lose very often. Loved to win. Hated to lose. So swimming just always was something I did. I always played other sports too. You know, baseball, football. Couldn't stand to lose. Couldn't stand to lose a baseball game because the kid in right field dropped the ball. Couldn't stand if another kid was pitching just because his dad helped cut the grass. Too many politics. Too many. With swimming, you stand on the blocks, first one back wins. If you're not first, there's no excuses.
So it's all on you.
Yep. And loved it. Just loved it. My dad was the biggest supporter. He would carry me places that the YMCA, we had meets almost every weekend, but the competition was so-so. I mean, it was tough, but for what I was able to do, he would carry me other places. We went up and down the whole East Coast. Just him and I. I'd be the team, a team of one, but just so I could get better competition. And again, just loved it. And like I say, through junior high, played some football and just again, couldn't stand to lose. So kept swimming, and then was fortunate when I got to high school to swim for a coach that he was all but my second father. You know, the time he put into me and the care and the compassion and the drive, he just kept my fire going to win. And so when high school was over, was fortunate that I pretty much got recruited by everybody throughout the whole country and got to go on my recruiting trips, and was from a small town in Pennsylvania. So, you know, Austin, Texas was just too big, you know, Florida, too big. But it's funny, up north, swimming is such a big thing, but your best teams are in the South or West. So when I came to Alabama and Little Tuscaloosa, that kind of fit the bill, and decided to come here. And
I know you. So how'd you get recruited here? I know.
Yeah, they would, but you got to remember back in the 80s when there was no cell phones or anything like that, all you had was telephones.
Yes.
And my dad, even though he knew swimming was a good opportunity, education was still the most important thing. So we were very set in my schedule. I had practice in the morning, go to school, practice in the afternoon, come home, eat supper, do my homework. And then I was allowed to take the phone calls, because all evening long, the phone would just ring and ring and ring of different coaches throughout the country calling, wanting to give me their pitch. And my mom's job was to answer the phone, tell them I was doing my homework. When I was done homework, they could call back. One night she comes back and she just says, "Donnie, go answer the phone." I said, "Mom, I'm not done." She says, "There is a man on the phone. He will not hang up, and I cannot understand a word he's saying." I said, "Okay." And I went and answered the phone. I said, "Hello." And he said, "Don, this is Paul Bear Bryant." So my mom was telling Bear Bryant, "You got to call back later. He's doing his homework." So They pulled out every trick they could. Every coach would have every star or anybody that they could call to give you the sales pitch. And so that was big. I enjoyed that.
So she didn't know who.
So she had no idea who Bear Bryant was, couldn't understand him with that deep Southern accent, but it was hilarious that one of the most notable figures in the country, if not the world, and she's telling him, you can call back later. So
be like Nick Saban calling somebody out.
Yeah. So that was cool. But I came to Tuscaloosa, small city. They had just won SECs, we're top 5 in the country. And I just felt like this would be a good place to come.
So how was your experience in the university?
I loved it. It was fun. It was awesome. Back then, all your male athletes ate at Bryant Hall. So it was cool. You went in there and wasn't like the swimmers sat at a table and football a table, and you just kind of went in and you sat down and you got to eat and carry on with every athlete here at Alabama. So it was fun. I really and truly enjoyed it. My freshman year was Bear Bryant's last year. So it was cool.
And didn't you make the comment one time that you signed a football?
Yeah, it's funny. If you ever wonder how they have so many team footballs to give out, they'd have 5 footballs on the table right when you walked into the training table. And every football player would stop, and that way they'd sign 5 footballs and then they'd go eat. And that's how they'd accumulate all these footballs. Well, if nobody was watching, I'd put my John Hancock on some of those footballs. So anybody has an 82 Bear Bryant football, look and see if Don Berger isn't on it. So I thought it was funny. I thought it was neat.
Might make it worth a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I know you said that you grew up in church and everything. And when did you come to faith?
Yeah. I always knew. We went to church. I won't say I went through the motions, but yet I just kind of went to church because that's what we were supposed to do. Chase the girls at church, Knew who Jesus was, but still it just, if you'd asked, am I a Christian? I'd say, yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, even though my mom, and it's one of those, I was taught from yay high because oftentimes I would have the reporters or things come and ask, and I always knew the first thing to say is, well, I want to thank God for the talent he's given me. And I meant it mostly, but it still was just, I just still kind of just went through the motions, and God was important, but, wasn't real high up on the priority list. And the older I got, the dumber I got, and the distractions you get in college, and all of a sudden, here you are. Anything you want's in front of you, good and bad. And I was pretty stupid. I chased a lot of things that led me down roads I didn't need to go. Sure didn't help my swimming. Sure didn't help my overall, walk with God, because there wasn't much of a walk with God.
So you was just trying to find something to make you happy.
Yeah. Swimming was the only thing that was it, and when you asked about the Olympics, from yay high, I didn't wish, I didn't wonder, I didn't hope that I was going to make the Olympics. I knew I was going to make the Olympics. I knew it. Was never a doubt. And Didn't. You know, was on national teams, was, you know, top 5 in the country. But back then, the fastest meet in the world wasn't the Olympics. The fastest meet was the Olympic trials because the U.S. just dominated. We were it. If you could make the U.S. team, you were just about guaranteed a medal because we were it. And after Olympic trials and I didn't make it, it was kind of a reality shock. And wasn't real sure exactly what to do. You know, I had a couple years of eligibility left. I kept swimming through college. You know, junior year was tearing them up, was on a mission. I was angry that I didn't make the Olympics. And halfway through the season, I had a hernia, had to stop lifting weights, had to stop doing sit-ups, had to stop doing so much of my training. So, you know, just kind of went. And I finaled at NCAAs, but it wasn't first. So it didn't matter. And by my senior year, I was kind of fed up with it. I was just tired of it. So, but you know, still I got to go and see on the national team. I still got to go to Russia, Japan, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, all these places, you know. But in your Olympic sports, which, you know, swimming, track, folks, you know, that's the question. Did you make the Olympics?
Yeah.
And back then, we were amateur athletes. We weren't paid. You had one shot, came once every 4 years. You didn't do 2, 3 Olympics. You didn't, that wasn't an option. You had your one shot, and I didn't make it. But like I say, still don't want to sound bitter because it was still awesome, you know, but, you know, it left a hole. And, you know, after college, got married.
Did you meet your wife?
Yeah, she was a swimmer here also.
Yeah,
So she actually was from Pennsylvania. So we joked, said you had to go the whole way to Alabama to marry a girl from Pennsylvania. I said, well, had to find one that thought right. And she was a swimmer. And
she was All-American too, wasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
I looked on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It said that y'all were both All-Americans. And
Yeah.
does she still coach?
She still helps coach the little club team here in town. So she loves it. She enjoys it. When I was done, I was done. I just kind of, like I say, no bitterness, but yet I was done. You know, I had invested everything I had into the swimming, and when it was over, it was over. And got married, had 3 girls. We let them do everything under the sun, from gymnastics to ballet to softball to swimming. And I vowed I was not going to be the parent that was the idiot in the stands, hooping and hollering and yelling. And, you know, I saw so much that at the softball and at the other places where the parents are trying to relive their dreams through the kids. And look, the kids got to want it.
Yeah.
You be there and you support and you do everything you can, but it's their choice.
So you wasn't that parent that's saying that my kid's the best? And
yeah, no, I was the quiet parent in the stands.
Yeah, because we
waiting to give them a thumbs up or a hug if they needed it. You know, it's just, you can't wish your dreams on your children. And that's just, you see so much of it. And most times the kids wind up hating the sport because of it. You know, they just get tired of listening to it. So you just be there and support them. And that was like my goal.
When my oldest son played football for Hillcrest, he wasn't the best player, but I was always supporting him at his games and watching him.
Yeah.
You know, even though he wasn't going to be on the field, I knew that, hey, I'm just gonna be here for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't the best.
Yeah.
And I wasn't acting like he was the best.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So after swimming, what was next?
Well, so then it was pretty much just being a dad and working, being a dad. And, but there was always, there was always a little bit of a hole. And never really could figure out what was missing. And I guess about 20 years ago now, I came home from work one day and I've never been stabbed, but I'm here to tell you, I've torn my knee, I've broken bones, I have never had a pain like this in my life. Middle of my back, I felt like somebody had stabbed me. And I laid down on the couch and I guess I dozed off. And when I woke up, this arm felt like it was about 400 pounds. I got up and I just kind of shuffled back to the bed and I laid down in bed. My wife and girls came home and, Daddy, what are you doing in bed? I was trying to get enough air to tell them, take out the trash. That was my priority. And I couldn't get enough air to tell them that. And my wife comes back and she says, what's wrong? And I just kind of shook my head. And she said, we're going to the hospital. And I shook my head and she says, I'm dialing 911 if you don't get up. Pride, I wasn't going to have an ambulance come to my house. So I got up, but I knew when I got up, I need to go. And got to the hospital and they sent me right to the emergency room. And that was all I knew. The next morning I woke up and when the doctor came in, he says, I don't know how to tell you this, but you shouldn't be here. And I smiled and joked and said, well, can I go? And he says, no, you don't understand. There is a blood clot in your lung that went through your heart to your lung. Mm. He said, by the size of that blood clot, there is no reason for you to be here. He said, blood clots go to hearts, you go to the morgue. That's it. I joked and said, I guess the big man wasn't ready for me yet. Didn't realize what I was saying. And I was laying in the bed watching TV, Sports Center. And I still remember was watching and Mike Ditka was on and he was being interviewed about something, but don't know what the question was, but I know what his answer was. And he says, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. Just kind of thought, how about that? And I don't know, a few hours later, there's a knock on the door and I got 5, 6 guys walking in and I recognized some of them and some of them I didn't. They'd come in and wanted to check on me and wanted to know if they could pray for me. Well, I wasn't going to tell them no. So I just kind of like, sure. Thought it was weird. Couldn't wait for them to leave. So I get out of the hospital and several months go by and we just got in a lab puppy. And I don't know, he's about 7 or 8 months old. And I get up to one morning and I go out back and he is just laying there. Got blood coming out of his mouth, blood coming out of his butt. And I mean, it's a lab puppy. It's not a frou-frou dog that it's a lab. I mean, it's a lab. They don't, they're tanks. And I grab them up and I don't know what to do. And I knew one guy that his kids, he had 3 kids that were the same age as my kids. And I knew he was a vet. So I called him and he says, bring him down. And I meet him down there at the vet clinic and drop him off. And I go by every day for a week. They'll bring him out on a little, I don't call it stretcher, but they'll bring him out so I can see him. And he just laying there, just nothing. Rocks on a week, I don't know, getting close to 2 weeks. And all of a sudden I go in the one morning, they bring him out on a leash and he's fine. I'm like, this is awesome. I said, what'd you do? And he just kind of says, he's better. I said, can I take him? He said, yeah. So I take him home. Like nothing happened. And a couple days later, the vet calls and he says, hey, I got a proposal for you. And I thought, uh-oh, what is this? And he says, I haven't figured up the bill yet. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this is going to be high. Nearly 2 weeks at a vet's. He says, if you'll come with me to my men's group Wednesday nights, 3 weeks in a row, I'll cut the bill in half. I said, how much is it? I wanted no part of going to some church men's group. That wasn't for me. He says, well, just think about it. I kept thinking about how much money that was going to be. And I was like, man, I don't know. How bad can it be? And then time got closer. He called. Hey, just wanted to see if you want to go this Wednesday. Man, I wanted to know how much that bill was because I still wanted no part of going to some Bible study group. Up until the minute he pulled in the driveway, I still was debating if I was going to be gone when he got there or not, just so I didn't have to go and endure that. And I didn't. And he pulls up, picks me up. We go to the church, and I'm still debating. I'll walk home. I did not want any part of it. But went in and see this room open up, and there's 40, 50 guys in there. And heck, I knew 15 or 20 of them. And they were normal. They weren't church people. Still thought, I still don't want to go in here. And sat down, and they go around and ask, where have you seen God move? And I'm thinking, what? Oh, man, what is wrong with these people? And hear a few guys talk about that they prayed for this and this happened, or they prayed for this and that happened. And I still was kind of thinking, how long is this going to be? How can I get out of here? And after that, then they go and started getting to the message. And the message was going to be on Jesus in the pool of Bethesda. I didn't really know what that was, but when Jesus asked the man that was at the pool just a simple question of, do you want to get well? Kind of hit home. Because I didn't really feel that I was not well, but I just always knew that there was something missing. And that simple question from Jesus to that man of, do you want to get well, stuck. So the next week rolls around, and I wasn't really hiding, but still wasn't real excited about going. But he came, and the message that week was on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and their faith of even if. Because it's not that everything is going to be roses and everything is going to be lovely and everything is going to be perfect and easy. But even if, God's still there. So by no coincidence, that was there. By the third week, I was actually waiting on him to get there.
So you were getting more excited about
it. Finally was filling a little hole that I had of just, because I had such a good life, but it was always just something just wasn't there. And I went that third week, and a few months later got baptized. And, you know, I think so much of it is I knew all the stories. I knew all the, you know, you always, Jesus is the Lamb, you know. Well, that's all sounds neat. That sounds, you know, but when you realize that Lamb, he wasn't just a little cute, cuddly thing that came. He was sent for a sacrifice for us. Kind of different meaning to lamb, you know. And like I say, I'd heard these stories. I grew up. I knew all the stories, but never really registered, you know. God is constant. God tells us what he wants. God will forgive us, but there's a price to pay. It's that simple. And it's a price that we can't pay. And when you truly understand that Jesus was sent here for us to be that sacrifice, and then the more you start digging in the Bible, you start really figuring it out. That it's not just a bunch of little stories, that it's not just words on a paper, that God has given his word. This is what I'll do. You can be mine. I want you to be mine. Here's what I'm willing to do so you can be mine. So that's been, I don't know, almost, I don't know, somewhere around 20 years ago. And one story, and I'll back up to what actually wound up being on the dog story, is I had no idea. And it was a couple years before they told me that 30 days before my dog got sick, that men's group challenged each person there to pick a person and pray for them every day. that they could be saved, no matter what it took.
Mm.
And that vet had picked me. And the dog got sick. And he told me after almost a week and a half that when everybody cleared out of the office, that he just went in front of his desk with all his books and things and said he hit his knees and just said, Lord, you wanted us to ask, I've asked, and you've moved. I feel like this is the one chance at getting him, but if this dog dies, would this have been for nothing? And he said, I don't know what to do. Lord, help me. He said he just reached up, grabbed the book, pulled it down, opened it up, had some crazy thing in there, but he did it, and the next day the dog was well.
So when you should have been gone, that dog should have been gone too.
Yeah. But God used that dog to get me to the men's group, to hear what I need to hear, to open my ears. So, yeah, I mean, that just...
And some people would say that's just coincidence.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that could be. That has to be God's hand on everything.
Yeah. That he actively petitioned the throne of God for me, and God moved. And I look and there's just so many things. And like you say, the coincidences, when you look back on the things that happened, and the world's going to tell you it's a coincidence. But really, really, is it just a coincidence? Could it be a coincidence? God is still moving. And the things I've seen since joining the men's group, and the things we've done, and the things that God has done are just amazing and undeniable. My dad had dementia, and my mom kept him home way, way, way longer than he ever should have been home. But until he started getting violent, and for her safety, she had to put him in a home. And dementia's terrible. But by no coincidence, and I do start every day reading my Bible. And it was a Sunday morning, and I was reading my Bible before church, and I was in Acts reading of the miracles the disciples were performing through God. Got to church. My Sunday school class was in Acts, studying the miracles. Got to the sermon, was on Acts and the miracles. At the end of the service, I had just felt so compelled that I went to the altar, hit my knees, and petitioned God for my father, and cursed dementia in the name of Jesus, and asked that it be gone. My mom called me Wednesday and was in tears. She said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I didn't do anything. What'd God do?" And she said, "For 3 days, I've had your father back. He's been himself." She said, "I know you did something." I said, "I just asked God to move." Then he moved. was 3 days, but it was 3 days. She got to be with her hubby. So don't tell me God's not real.
Yeah.
And don't tell me God doesn't still move. And he listens. He wants us. He's way more faithful than us. And that's the only constant, that he's there. And knowing his promise that we can be with him. Finally had that little hole that was always there filled.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how something like that can just fill your hole. And
Yep.
it's like it's meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
It's like he designed it. Like
Yeah.
That, but, you know.
Yeah. He lays it out. I mean, it just, the way things are laid out, it just, but we got to stop and look. That's the toughest part, is we are so filled with distractions. It is always, where's the next check coming from? Where's the next job coming? Where are the kids? Where are they? We can stay so busy that we miss the good things he's given us. And he wants to give us, Now, like I say, it's not all roses, 6, 7 years ago, went to the doctor and told me I had cancer. Well, oh, woe is me. I went and got in the shooting house, pouted for a few minutes, probably a little longer than that, but then I kind of got to really thinking. I was supposed to have died a while ago. And I felt in my pocket, and I had a McDonald's receipt in my pocket. Reached another pocket, and they had a new law where you had to carry a pen with you, so I had a pen there too. And I sat in that shooting house, and I started writing down all the things that had happened since the blood clot. I figured if cancer gets me, look at all I've got to see since. From kids being baptized, to kids getting married, to grandkids, to... I've been so blessed. So if cancer gets me, I'm still on the good side. And they went in, they cut it out, everything's been good. But it's how you look at it. You're still going to woe is me for a minute, but what's the worst thing that happens? I'm going to die and go to heaven. So I'd hate it for people I'd leave here, but it's just the perspective. It's the big picture. What God is willing to do and has done for us to be able to spend eternity with him. It's changed everything. I finally got it. When you finally get it. And I just keep plugging along since.
So how did you, I know you have construction.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that?
I got fed up with the real world of the distractions of was running shipping and warehouses. Every Monday morning, wondered who wasn't coming to work, who's calling in sick, who got locked up, and it's still my butt that's going to get the call. Where's my stuff? And just one day, just had enough and just said, I'm done. And gave my notice and walked out. Figured out what I need to do now. And took a few weeks off, went and visited one daughter's in Missouri, one daughter's in Kentucky, and went and saw my mom in Pennsylvania, and just took a few weeks off and just drove and just got away from it all and came back, and then figured out I do need to get a job and prayed about it. And a day or two later, a girl calls on the phone and says, "Hey, you've been in construction your whole life. You know, our fence blew down. You know, anybody can fix it?" "Well, I can fix it." I went out the next day, and while I was fixing their fence, the neighbor came over and, "Hey, while you're here, can you fix this?" And about a week later, I figured out I better go get a license and insurance, because it looks like this is what I'm going to do. And prayed about, because I knew I had to have a name for all my forms. God gave me Resurrection Handyman Service. And it's just me. I go out, I fix things, but almost every job I'm on, I get to share a little of my story, and I get to talk to the folks. And to me, it's so neat in that I can talk to them about what God's done for me without offending anyone, without pushing anyone, without backing anybody in a corner of, oh, he's gonna. No, I'm just telling you what he did for me. And I can tell. I don't know why he left me here. He has left me here. And I like to tell him it might be to talk to you. And if I go today, I go today. But I know where I'm going. And to know where I'm going, I can deal with a lot of doo-doo out there that's going to come up, that still comes up. Yeah, nothing is a bed of roses. But look at the big picture. What is the end result? I don't hope I'm going. I know. I lost my mom a couple months ago. Miss her. But the last thing I told her was, "I love you, and I'll see you later."
Yeah.
Because I know where we're going to be. So you got to believe, if it's, he didn't give us the Bible for nothing. The more you know the Bible, the more you know the end. It's not stories. You got to know.
Yeah, a lot of times, since I've heard, you talk about how you on job sites and you share. A lot of times, see, I own my own lawn care business, and a lot of times I sit there and I thought, what would Don do at this some moment? But I want to get to where I'm like that, that where I can share my faith, where I have the boldness, I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. And it's not easy. I mean, you sit there and you think you're going to be scared, and but it's just on these jobs, so much of it's amazing. God will give the person will make a comment of what they're fighting, what they're battling, and it's just so easy it doesn't have to be a sermon. That's what I think so many folks worry about. I do too. I don't want to give a sermon.
Yeah.
I'm a nervous wreck, but I can share my story.
It was like the other day, I had a customer. Her son he got stabbed, and she told me about it a couple of weeks ago. And other day I asked her, I said, how's your son doing? Oh, he's doing good. We've been praying for you.
Yeah.
I kind of put that out there where she knows, hey, if there's anything else, I can go to him. He'll pray for me.
Yeah.
And it might be nothing big, but at least she knows there's somebody out there that's praying.
Yeah.
And I guess that starts a little. And I've been thinking about, each day waking up and say, Lord, just show me somebody.
Yeah.
And give me the boldness to, take one day at a time.
Yeah.
And that one day I've kind of honed, when he says, worry about today, because tomorrow I'll worry about itself.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, God knows that we're going to go through crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the same thing, Satan knows we're going through crap too.
Yeah.
And if Satan can get us today, he might look at God and say, I know you got his soul.
Yeah.
But today I had him.
Yeah.
He had that phone and he was strolling through that phone.
Yeah.
I had him today.
Yeah.
So I think he's saying, slow down.
Yeah.
Just pay attention today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get away from all the distraction.
That's it. That word right there, I think, is Satan's greatest tool, is distractions. Because we can be so distracted so easily. It just, anything to get our focus off of God and what he's willing to do or has done for us,
I mean, I don't think we realize how much Satan is fighting against us.
Yeah.
And we want to think that, oh, why'd you do this, God? Well, I don't think God really did it. I think Satan's he knows his days are ending.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to give it everything I got.
Yep. Yeah. And it's one, God, the big question so often is, why did God do this? Or why did God let this happen? Don't know. We don't know. I don't know. One day maybe we'll know. But, the thing is, how are you going to respond? And that's the biggest. I knew that was one of the big things when I got the cancer diagnosis, is that everybody at work was going to look and see how I responded. And I'd like to think I did well. Things happen. They're going to happen. But the ultimate is, where are you going when it's all over? What are you going to do? Where are you going to spend eternity? When you look at that, a whole lot easier to deal with the doo-doo that comes up. And that's what I try and focus on, because it's every day. I mean, I'm still terrible every day, but how am I responding? Does it bother me? Do I repent of my sins? Do I mean it? I hope so.
That goes back to where I was saying, if you just worry about today, it's a whole lot easier to go back and say, Lord, forgive me for today.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, let me be better than I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, me with my own business, this year, I always say that it's God's business. But this year I really sat down and said, you take it.
Yeah.
I'll just work for you.
Yeah.
And when you want to take a yard away, you take it away. And, and he has taken yards away.
Yeah.
And when he did, I sat there and I, fussed about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's like, if you think about it, you really didn't want that yard anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
I just wanted the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had 2 yards next to each other. It was 3, my bad. 3 of them left. And I was like, that's a good chunk of money.
Yeah.
But every week he gives me another yard.
Yeah.
It might not be, consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times it's been, hey, can you cut my yard just one time?
Yeah.
And it's a lot more than what those 3 yards were.
Yeah.
I'm like, why didn't I just trust you first time?
Yeah.
And just, so it showed me, and we've had a lot of rain. And and this year it's been been a better year of, I'm just going to trust you.
Yeah.
You know what you got me into.
Yeah.
So There's a whole lot of freedom
Yeah.
in that, to just trust him.
That's it. It's hard.
Yeah. I know you got me this far. You ain't gonna just say, I'm gonna let you drown here.
Yeah.
He's like, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat sometimes.
Oh, it is. It really is. You know, I think that a dog finally changed my attitude. But he can use anything. He can use anybody. And that's the big thing. That's why I kind of keep trying to do what I'm doing with the work. You know, I work so that I can hopefully do God's work and get to have that little opening just to put a seed. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to browbeat anybody. I just want them to think.
Now, have you ever, since you've been doing that, have you seen people open up to you?
Yeah, very much. I can't tell you how many times I've had folks just look at me and go, you just don't know how much I needed that today. And it just, so God did.
Yeah.
He put me here for a reason. And again, I can always chuckle with them and say, I still don't know why he left me here, but
he does.
If it was here to talk to you. So it just, people want to hear. People are starving for the truth. And when you know your word and you know it is laid out beginning to end. We just got to know what it says. And the more you know, the easier it is to believe, the easier it is to see things, see God move. Understand that's not a coincidence. Look what happened. There is no way that could have happened without God. And to see him moving, it's awesome. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, if the disciples were willing to die for a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's willing to.
Yeah, they got to walk with him. You know, and one day we will. And what a day it'll be.
Yeah. Or well, the ending, I'd like to ask, if you could go back to your younger self, what would you tell yourself now?
You know, it's one of those, in some ways, you sit there and you look at the things that you did and you just think, how stupid was I? But had I not made the mistakes I made, I don't know that it ever would have pointed me to where I am. God would have still worked it out. But I think you just got to look at the big picture of this all happened for a reason. Line me up here to where I need to be, to where I can serve and be a servant for God. That I don't know I really would change anything, even though there's 100 things that I wish probably that I wouldn't have done, you know, but I think they were all just lined up for a reason. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be here. It would have been a way different path. So
I'm glad he kept you here.
Yeah.
So Don, I appreciate you coming and talking. It's been fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I keep saying I'm going to keep flapping my gums until the day I go. God's good.
All the time.
Yeah.
So boys, thanks for listening. Stay in the stands. See you next time.